Milana Traun, it's such a pleasure to have you on, founder of Funga. We're very fortunate on the podcast to get all sorts of people who are super inspiring. Your mission is to really shine a light on all the benefits that Funga can bring to people. People will be listening to this and thinking, Funga? What's Funga? Does he mean fungi? Does he mean mushrooms?
Funga.
Funga.
I know the English love to say funga, but it sounds too much like fungus, so it's funga.
Tell us, beginning of any journey, one dips in a bit, right? Where was that dipping in point for you in this world of Funga?
So I would have to mention my first big psychedelic experience. That was in my early 20s.
We're jumping in.
That's where it started.
Yeah, let's jump in.
That's what really opened the doors of perception to me. That's really where my interest in all of these things started. So I was 22. I was traveling in Indonesia with a crazy Italian friend of mine. And he brought these magic mushrooms in chocolate form with DMT mixed inside. Strong concoction.
Where is this? Is it Bali?
No, this was on a little island called Sumba.
Okay.
Yeah, so we took a little tiny propeller plane. Nothing was on that island, except for there's this very cool surfing hotel on the south of the island, and then the rest was just nothing. Nature, beautiful waterfalls, lagoons, like all the good stuff. So the plan was we go there, we take mushrooms together, and that was basically the climax of the trip. And then I was obviously very inexperienced, and he just broke off a chunk of this chocolate that had all melted in a plastic bag, and he gave it to me. So I think I must have ingested about 4 or 5 grams, so like a hero dose. And I said to him, I can't speak to you for the rest of the day. Just please leave me alone. We were in this beautiful lagoon, one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. And for me, I always describe this experience as a moment with God. Like the closest I've ever felt to God, and it really was a clear before and after in my life. I understood more about myself, I understood the type of life that I want to live, I understood what people in my life were giving me good energy, which ones I had to let go of. It was a moment of God, it was a moment of clarity, and it opened the doors, as I said. So that's really the start. I moved to New York shortly after. And then fast forward 3 years and I moved to Mexico City in 2021. And that was a time where I was in the middle of the pandemic and I felt like there was a big gap in the conversation around mental health and alternative healing modalities. Because I had already obviously had my own experiences with psychedelics, I just thought it was the most spectacular and interesting thing. And I felt that there was not a place online where people could learn about these topics in a very aesthetic and easy to understand way. So for me, it was like my chosen masters. I explained that to my father in that way. I just said, I'm in this beautiful country where mushrooms and alternative healing practices are so interwoven into the fabric of the culture, right? Very different from Austria, where I grew up, very different from this side of the world. So to go back to your question, there I decided to start Funga, and it was a moment of educating myself. I was very lucky there to meet from healers to facilitators to just people that are very experienced, and I learned and learned for 2 years, and all the while writing my online magazine.
And give us a sense of what it is today, Funga, your platform.
I like to talk about Funga like the Funga universe. So education is at the heart of Funga, and I always try with everything I do to bring it back to education. The platform exists, fungaonline.com, and then I try to do some podcasts. It's a lot of work. I haven't been very disciplined with it. I just did it as I met some interesting people, a lot of events, and now a product.
A product. We like products. Just the concept, everyone's got ideas, and some flourish, some become extraordinary movements, big successful businesses, purpose, meanings, movements that help shape community and all sorts. And it doesn't matter if ideas don't flourish to being a product, but it's certainly a big statement of someone who's been able to create a product, which is exactly what you've been able to achieve. So here we have, hopefully we'll be zooming in, but your wonderful box, Funga Chocos.
For grooving. For grooving.
Tell us about the product.
Thank you. It's a lot of love, a lot of heart went into making this product. And I have a lot of newfound respect for people that create products, because there's so many facets of making something like this, from the formulation to the sourcing to the design to finding the right suppliers to the logistics. So when I came back from Mexico, I was a little bit unsure of if I should continue Funga or not. An incentive to come back, as well as missing my family and wanting to be closer to home, was to be able to do events here and share some of the knowledge that I learned there. So in my first year back, I did a lot of in-person events. So I was in Berlin, in Milan, in Madrid, in Verbier, all over the place, which was really cool because a lot of these cities, these topics and mushrooms, psychedelics is something that is completely foreign still. There's a stigma and a taboo that exists around it. So to be able to help to facilitate conversations and hopefully further the conversation and break some of the stigma that exists is a huge purpose behind why I'm doing this project. And I really wanted to also start to monetize, finally, after 2.5 years. It is, I think the reason that I've been able to do it for so long without is because it's my passion project. It combines everything that I love in life. But yeah, so the product was an idea, and I was thinking about whether to do a supplement, but I felt like that space was quite saturated. And then I thought it would be really cool, and also as a nod to how one might consume a psychedelic mushroom. So that's why the Funga chocos. Chocos is, in Mexico, they call magic mushroom chocos. These are not psychedelic, obviously, but they're a nod to how one might consume it. I love the idea of having this chocolate, passing it around a table, sharing it, having a ritual around it. A big purpose was also to create something that one could gift. Like, I love the idea of a friend of mine buying it and bringing it to a friend's house, and then the parents seeing it on the table and asking, what is this? And then maybe that leads to conversations of their experiences with whatever, LSD or mushrooms back in the day. And I love that thought, that it opens those doors.
And gosh, the thought and attention to detail.
The detail.
Here. No,
Every word, every inscription here, you have no idea the sizing, like
totally.
It's months and months of thinking about it.
Milana, it's a nod to your modesty, just like quietly put it on the table. But actually, I'm sure people can understand. I mean, this looks very exciting, very psychedelic vibes.
Yeah.
I love the concept of how it almost just like a box of matches.
Yeah, and it's also, the thought was to create something that you can keep. So you have the chocolate, and then it's almost like a little treasure box. You can put jewelry in there, you can put some other pills in there. It's nice to have on a coffee table. The thought is for it to be on display, basically. And also, it's very compact. The chocolate doesn't melt, so it's nice to put it in your bag and take it out. Like, it's a fun thing when you go out.
Tell us about, if a listener's thinking, I want to not pop a pill, yet munch on that chocolate, what's going to happen to them?
It is the closest that you're going to get to the feeling of a microdose without it being psychedelic. I'm going to tell you about the ingredients.
Yeah.
Because that ties into when one should maybe take this product, or when I would suggest. Yeah. So I've infused cordyceps into this chocolate. Cordyceps is a functional mushroom. Functional mushrooms are mushrooms like lion's mane is very famous, reishi is famous, cordyceps I'm sure people have heard of. It's a mushroom that's been used in Chinese medicine for thousands of years. It's not psychedelic, but it has health benefits. Cordyceps are incredible for stamina, for energy, for libido.
What's the libido? Yeah, continue.
But they really are.
Wow.
They're an aphrodisiac, and they boost oxygen flow in the body. So it's an incredible mushroom to take when you get up in the morning to give you energy. I have to say here that it is extremely difficult to come about good quality functional mushrooms. There are a lot of cowboys out there, a lot of functional mushrooms that you see in a lot of the products around. It's mycelium grown on grain, so it's not actually the fruiting body of the mushroom. Good functional mushrooms, usually they use 100% of the fruiting body, as do I. So it's the most potent part of the mushroom. And in Mexico, I had this absolutely amazing mycologist, one of my favorite people that I've met on this journey of Funga. He, a French guy, completely mad, moved to Mexico 25 years ago, and he founded this farm, and he's like a mushroom personified. Like, he sings to his mushrooms, he doesn't care about money, like it's all about the creation and the cultivation and the protection of mushrooms. Anyway, he grew some incredible cordyceps, and he was the one to introduce me. So I've started with them since 5 years ago now. I'm working with one of the best medicinal mushroom growers in the world. They're based in China. That's where my cordyceps come from. The energy mushrooms, so great to take before a workout or just to start your day. The star ingredient of the show, the thing that was complicated but at the same time has been the most rewarding to work with and to bring into chocolate form. I'm the first in the UK to do that. Is a succulent called Kanna. And Kanna is from South Africa. It's been used as well for thousands of years by indigenous communities, by the Khoi and the San. And it was used for many things. Hunters used to take it before they went out into battle because it suppresses hunger and thirst a bit and makes them very focused. It was used for pain relief. So pregnant women, when they were giving birth, took it. Teething babies took it. And then it was also used in ceremonies, so before trance dances and just general kind of healing ceremonies. And it's an empathogen, meaning it's an extremely heart-opening plant. I know it's a concept that's probably a bit difficult to wrap your head around, like what does it mean to open your heart? But I think, for me at least, it's a difficult concept. When I moved back to London, the mantra in my head was open heart, open mind. And just to try to get more from my mind or from always being in my head into my heart. And I don't think it's a mistake. That's when I encountered this plant. So first and foremost, it's an empathogen. What it does in the brain is that it binds to your serotonin receptors. So it actually makes you feel more joyful. Like it mimics the effect of a gentle SSRI. So some people call it nature's antidepressant. So one should actually not take it if you are on antidepressants, because there is such a thing as too much of a good thing, and you can have too much serotonin in the brain. So not for people that are taking antidepressants. But otherwise, it's when you want a moment of uplift, of boost, that's a moment to take it. I love to do it. I love to do it during the day at 11 when I'm working and I want to get stuck in and get into the flow. I love to take it before I do meditation, before I go to a yoga class. I love to do it around 6 p.m. before I go out, because what Kanna does as well, it's not only uplifting, but it gives you this kind of bouncy, floaty sensation, but you feel connected, you feel focused. So you're very present in the body, and it gives you a lot of energy, and it keeps you awake also. You can mix it with alcohol. It's a great substitute to alcohol. Last year was also the year of redesigning and reformulating my relationship with alcohol, because I love it, don't get me wrong, and I enjoy it so much, but it's really bad. It's just really bad, and I think people are waking up to that reality. And I always say this to my parents, no drug makes you feel as bad the next day as alcohol does. It kills you, right? Your productivity goes down, your clarity goes down. So for the first time, I did a few months of sobriety, and I was able to do that, I think, with the help of Kanna, because you take it, you feel a little something, you feel relaxed, and then you wake up the next day and you're at your 100%.
And people can buy this online?
Yeah.
From you?
Yeah, no, what I like to say is that don't expect it to feel like a drug. It's not a drug, right? It's a plant like coffee. It's very similar to coffee. It's a psychoactive plant. So coffee or tobacco, right? You noticeably feel a difference in your state, but you're not tripping out, you're not seeing dragons flying around. Like, you're very present, you're very in your body, and in fact, I mean, like coffee and tobacco, it aids your concentration and it gives you energy and it lifts you up. So it's something that you can take every day, or just the way that I think one should take it is more in intentional moments. What it also does, Kanna, is that over time it regulates your amygdala. And the amygdala in the brain is responsible for your fight and flight reactions. So what happens is, when you take this for a certain period, you just become less reactive to stresses in your life. And I love that, because I think that what I wanted to create is not something that you necessarily have to take every day or depend upon. Kanna it's a friend, it's an ally, it's a teacher. It's something that brings you more inside of your body. It connects you more to yourself, and it makes you see the things that you might have to work on, or where you might need a bit of help. And it aids you in that, but then you don't have to take it in order to feel the benefits. Like, it actually regulates it, and then you can just do it sporadically. I love that.
If we zoom out and look at the Funga world, is quite all-inclusive. There's a lot of different functions that these components can have. You talked about us being early on the wave of this whole movement, and how you wanted to draw out what's happening in places like Mexico and bringing it to Europe, bringing it to the pockets of people around here. What do you see? Is there a clear vision for you on the optimum way that people can utilize this sort of stuff? Is it having a pill for sleep, something for when they wake up, and then something very strong occasionally to send them in this sort of very extraordinary self-discovery world?
Listen, for me, I think that anything to do with nature and a return to nature is always a good idea. That's something that I really advocate for. So if I just look at my own life, like, I'm obsessed with so many different plants, and obviously mushrooms, and I think it's beautiful if you learn about them, you know about them, and you take them to enhance or help certain moments of each day. Natural is the way. So I think moving away from, obviously, and I don't want to, some people, they need to take medication, and it can be very beneficial, and I'm not here to discredit the Western medicine model, but I think that what I'm trying to do with Funga is trying to connect people back to nature, and for them to see that through that, and through something that's a bit more softer, they actually can discover and feel so much better, and know themselves better. If
you look at your business now, you've got one product, amazing product, titled for grooving. Could you see yourself having one for focus,
no,
one for sleep?
100%. In fact, I'm currently working on the second one, which is going to be Funga chocos for dreaming.
For dreaming?
I'm obsessed, and this is something that I love so much about this project, which is that there's so many different avenues that I can go into. There's so many different worlds I can tap into through this project. And so sleep has been something that's been, I'm a massive sleeper. I sleep like 9 hours a night, 10 hours if I can.
Yeah.
And I love to dream. If there's something that I can take that can enhance my dream life, or that can help me hold on to the dreams longer, or make me lucid dream, sign me up.
Have you taken stuff that affects your dreams?
Oh my God, 100%.
Tell us.
100%. I think magnesium really affects dreams. I don't know if have you taken magnesium?
Not enough.
I take magnesium every night before I go to sleep. For me, it really enhances my dreams. Melatonin, I find, not that I would be allowed to put it in my product in the UK, but melatonin enhances dreams. But the plant that I want to work with is called Blue Lotus.
Okay.
And it's from the Amazon, and it's particularly incredible for enhancing dreams, but also being more present within the dreams. So I've had some crazy experience. Again, it's the important thing with all these plants is how it's grown, where it's sourced from. Like, so much, sorry to say, but rubbish out there. So that's really the journey, and that's why this product took such a long time. It's just figuring out what's the best quality that I can possibly get, and that took a really long time. But I'm very fortunate through Funga. I've met so many people working in this plant kingdom and plant world.
Yeah.
So I think it's been a bit easier for me to do this because I was able to cut a lot of, I was able to have a lot of shortcuts to meet the right people. But that was very lucky. But yeah, back to Blue Lotus. So I was introduced to it 2 years ago, and from an incredible man that had brought it back from the Amazon, and a herbologist actually, and I've never had such an incredible dream night in my life. And I was like, oh, if I can just bring this and share this with more people, that would be really amazing. And then for myself, selfishly, like, just to go into studying more about how we sleep, how we dream. There's so much we don't know about what happens in our sleeping life. It's actually crazy. 1/3 of our life, we're asleep, right? No, but really, there's not a lot of information about what actually happens when we're sleeping and what our dream life means and represents. My favorite thing to do is when I wake up in the morning, every night I'm like on some sort of an odyssey. I'm going to the craziest places. I wake up. I am a morning person, like I love the morning, but I need a second. I need maybe 2 hours to just be in silence because I'm just trying to connect again to the waking life. Yeah. Like it takes me a moment to get out of it. So I probably could be a bit irritable in the morning. But my favorite thing is to do, I wake up and the first thing I do is I record my dream on ChatGPT, my #1 assistant. And I say, analyze this as if you were Carl Jung or as if you were Sigmund Freud, which is a bit more literal. And it's just so unbelievable, the symbolism in your dreams and how that tells you so much about your inner state. It's a beautiful way to check in with what's really going on inside, I find. So I've started to do that quite a lot.
Wonderful. Yeah. How do you think dreams serve people?
I could say that for me, it's one of the biggest sources of pleasure in my life, but I'm also lucky because I have very happy dreams. A lot of people don't remember their dreams, suffer from nightmares. I think how they really serve us is that I think just a lot is processed when we're dreaming. A lot is also just released. It frees up some space in the mind. That's the way I see it. It like works through some kinks and some things. And my cousin, for example, she once went to go see this witch, and the witch told her, she said, she went through a very difficult period in her life, and the witch said, do you remember your dreams? And she said, not really. And she said, good, because all your dreams are actually bordering probably on nightmares, because that's where you're releasing all your stress and your tension, and your body's just like processing it. So you're lucky that you don't hold on to them. But so I believe that's what's happening.
It cleanses you.
I think it cleanses you, yeah. I don't know, we can also get a bit more woo-woo about it. My cousin says that when you dream of an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend, it's like your souls are meeting in that state and like figuring some stuff out. I was just having some interesting dreams recently. I don't know if that's true, but I like to think that, for example, I don't know if this has happened to you, but sometimes I dream of a person that I haven't thought about in years and years, and I wake up and 2 hours later I get a message from that person. Has that ever happened?
I mean, the world is so strange like that.
But has that ever happened to you? Like where you'll dream of something and then, or somebody...
You'll call someone, it happens quite regularly, where I'll call someone who I haven't spoken to for a few months, and they'll be like, do you know what's so weird? I literally was thinking of you this morning. Yeah,
I love when that happens. Yeah, you're calling people, but and that I believe as well. I believe you can call people into your orbit, but that's more conscious, but like in your dream life. Like sometimes when someone appears in my dream life and then they appear in my waking life, I find it's like magic. I'm like, something must be happening there.
They're connected in weird ways.
That we don't understand. And we obviously are all connected.
It speaks very much to your world of the Funga world of all of that comes from beneath the ground, really.
Only the mushrooms do.
Okay.
And the fruiting body is above the ground.
Okay, fine.
The mycelium is below the ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that whole world there's a lot of unknowns around that.
Around
the mycelium
network.
Yeah.
The mycelium network connects I was more talking that humans, like we are all connected, we are all, everything, we are all one. And when you take psychedelics at a high dose, you understand that concept. It was the first time I really understood that concept, although I've been doing a transcendental meditation course actually this week. And I was like provoking my teacher a little bit because she was talking about this unified field and the fact that we are all one and what that really means. And she said you can tap into that when you meditate, which is true. But I said you also tap into that when you take psychedelics, which she really irritated her because she didn't want to hear about any sort of external things that can take you to the same place. But mycelium, it looks like trees in the ground. They've got roots and it connects literally the whole world. And it's an amazing thing also that it talks to each other and it sends signals. So two trees could be standing, could be in the same, and one may be dying and it can send signals through the mycelium and basically ask for help, and nutrients will be sent back to that tree.
There's definitely people listening to this thinking, what on earth are they talking about?
No, can I just say...
But it is true.
So this whole topic and this whole conversation, you can imagine that when I came back from Mexico, after 8 months of living there, and I was sitting around the table with my parents, working at film at the time, and I said, Dad, I've got an idea. Like, I want to start this platform called Funga, centered around psychedelics for mental health. My father looked at me and he said, Milana, you're coming home today. Like, you're not going back to Mexico. This country is completely like...
To the mountains.
Yeah, no, to the forest more. Okay. But this country, now my daughter, she's a drug dealer. What's going on? I don't... Enough with Mexico. And I said, Dad, let's watch a documentary together. And then if you still don't want me to do this, I won't do it. And he, bless him, was very open-minded and he said, okay. And we went to go watch Fantastic Fungi. I think it's on Netflix. It's one of the best documentaries and it just explains everything about mushrooms, mycelium. They talk about this kind of the tree, the mycelium network. And it talks a lot about also psychedelics for mental health and the incredible potential and a bit of history. And you've got professors talking, NYU, Johns Hopkins, like all these big universities, people that my father could relate to. And he was like, okay, it's not only these crazy hippies that are into these things, but this is actually a serious thing. And then he was like, I still don't quite understand what you're doing, but I trust you, and it's given me an idea, and you have my blessing.
So it's a lot of chips put on the table in this documentary. Clearly everyone watched that.
Yes, Fantastic Fungi.
Fantastic Fungi.
It's great. Yeah.
So Brian Johnson had this huge experience recently.
Yes.
What did he take?
He's done a few things. He did psilocybin, and he most recently did DMT.
Which he explained is not possible to explain.
I've done it.
Okay. What's it like?
So you've got two different types of places that you can get DMT. They say that we all have DMT in our body. It's called the God molecule. And that it's released when you die. So like that when people have these near-death experiences and they walk towards the white light, they say that's DMT being released in the body. Or women can feel it when they give birth. It's almost like you can imagine as quite a psychedelic experience to give birth. But DMT, you can get it from a plant, from a tree. That is what they put in the ayahuasca brew. And then
the purges of the rainforest.
A lot of exactly. And then you've got 5-MeO-DMT, which is taken from the toad, from the frog. I'm not quite sure how they extract it, but they basically push it out of the frog. Onto glass, and then it dries, and then you smoke the secretion.
Wow.
And it is very short. It lasts only 15 minutes, but it takes you to another place. With all other psychedelics, you're in some way grounded or connected to the earth. DMT takes you to just a different dimension, like a different, I want to say different universe, but it just takes you outside of anything that you've ever known.
Yeah.
I mean, I always say, whenever I take mushrooms or something, I say, I'm going to the 5th dimension. I use that as an expression, but DMT is really something.
So you're not taking the fifth?
It's
not bleeding. You might have to soon if you're taking all these things.
Oh my God! I only do them in places where it's legal. That's the truth. I did it in Mexico.
But these things, there's so much commentary and noise around this space. It's very exciting, and research. Do you follow the research quite closely?
Yeah, of course. And so much of it is on Funga. Yeah, I've read all the books. I've watched all the talks. Now, obviously, the product has taken kind of center stage.
Yeah.
So I have less time to write. But for the first two years.
If you've enjoyed this, hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Want to support the podcast, inspire as many people as possible? You can either make a donation on the Buy Me a Coffee link in our bio and website. Want to access exclusive content? Submit ideas for future episodes? Join below as a Patreon member and we will make you feel special. Thanks so much for listening.
I was writing every single day and just consuming and learning everything that I could around this topic.
And Milana, jumping into the business, do you want to see this distributed in festivals, partnerships? Tell us about those two things.
As you were saying before, you were like, people are probably listening to this conversation thinking, oh my God, what is she talking about? And now she's talking about this weird dimension. So I feel like this product is a really nice gateway into this world without being too overwhelming, without being too far into that world. It's a nice little door opener, I would say. Gentle way to start incorporating this into your daily life without being thrown into the deep end of your consciousness. So I wanted to make it something that was also fun. I don't want it to be too serious. I think at the end of the day, it's about finding joy and just learning how to also connect with things that are not numbing, but more, that make you more present and that are more connected.
It's funny because listening to this, it can be the two, when one thinks of taking something, you're taking a bit of chocolate. There's different types of chocolate that could give you very different things. And it's funny how those two worlds meet and where's that line of escapist versus connecting you.
I think it's very natural for humans to want to escape. Since the beginning of time, and if you look at the animal kingdom, there's so many animals that eat psychoactive plants or elephants that drink fermented fruit. It's basically like alcohol to escape their normal consciousness. That's a very intrinsic thing to being an animal, right?
Do you think it benefits people doing that?
When it's done with intention and when it's done in moderation, I think it does. And I don't think that you need to necessarily be taking anything to achieve that. I think you can do it through breathwork is a great example. Breathwork, meditation, obviously, when you reach that level is a way to do it. Ecstatic dance. There's ways to go into that and to enter different consciousness without having to ingest something. But I think everything in moderation, even moderation, I love that saying so much, but even alcohol, if it's done with intention, where you're not just binge drinking, the English culture, the Austrian culture also, but the English, they really like to hit it hard with everything. With everything. I think done in that way is probably not beneficial. But I think sometimes in the right circumstance, like a little bit pick your poison, but enjoy it. Be intentional around it. And in this case, this one is, there's a bit more of a spiritual side to it where I want people to actually set an intention before they take it. So actually really think about when would be a lovely moment to do it. I'm not just going to bosh it in and just forget. For example, the sun is shining, I want to walk through Hyde Park, now would be a lovely moment to take it. How am I feeling? How would I like to feel? And then it's going to bring that up. So that's the thought around this. Besides it actually being a product that works. Wait, where are we at? Take a walk. No, one thing that I wanted to say about collaborations. So it's funny because when I started this product, I had a manifestation board in my head of what would dream collaborators be. I'm not allowed to say yet, but one is going to be announced soon, which was like, for me, when I created this product, I had that place in mind. It was a huge inspiration, actually. So for them to recognize this product, want to work with it, and want to create something together was a massive compliment. And also it's just nice to have a dream or a manifestation about something and it happens.
And for that connection to happen, yeah.
The way I see it is I'd love to have it in bars. Right now you can get it at Dalesford. But
around the corner, no?
Yeah, although they don't have it in
Okay.
this location, but in Notting Hill, in the Cotswolds,
Oh, wow.
which is lovely. Obviously, Dalesford is a lovely store and has a lot of good produce. But really, this product is for behind a bar where you maybe want to not drink but feel a little something. That's when you have a choco, or even just to enhance the connection while you're drinking, but maybe it makes you drink a bit less, gives you energy for the night, makes you want to dance. I want to see it at yoga studios. One place that I would love for it to be is Love Supreme in Notting Hill, because I think it's beautiful to do it before you do any sort of movement, especially gentle movement. It helps you go deeper. It helps you go deeper. And then hotels, boutique hotels, music collectives, would love to do. That's unrelated to Funga Chocos, but film is a huge passion of mine. I would love to do some sort of a film project around all of these things, documentary. There's so many different avenues I could go into. But lots on the list and lots of conversations are currently happening, so it's good.
Milana, you've got endless curiosity, film, art, music. And your brand really speaks of that. The packaging, going on your website, or the array of amazing connections you have with so many different cultural movements, expressions. And with that, this is really your creation. So you're really painting so much about what you want. We've talked about the movement, how it affects people. It's not easy doing what you're doing. So you'll spend quite a lot of time alone, having to be your own superhero. Looking forward, what do you want to give yourself more to make this journey better for you?
I'm very lucky that I'm happy to be alone a lot. Like I can spend a lot of time with myself. Otherwise, I think this would be much more difficult than it is, because it's a very solitary, it has been a very solitary existence.
Despite wanting to connect to everyone. It's the irony, right?
It's funny, but I'm lucky because of all the different collaborations and the different avenues and the different things that I'm doing and events and all of that. I get to meet so many different people. So what I do make sure is that I always have some phone call with someone I don't know, or that I meet someone for a coffee. And like I do make that effort to have that human connection. Otherwise, I could literally spend just 5 days not seeing a single person. I have to say here that I've had a lot of guardian angels along the way, and most particularly one who came into my life a year and a half ago. He's become one of my best friends, and he's not the official CFO, but he's definitely my CFO, and one of the smartest people I know. He works in finance. Like he couldn't be more different from me, while we share a lot of similarities, but he's good at all the things that I'm really not good at. So we really complement each other, and having him to just bounce ideas off, tell him the good news about something, or just even this, it's more also the distressing things, because it's such a up and down of entrepreneurship. One day you're flying and the next you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So it would be, sorry, just to finish, what I wish, I feel like Funga, one could always concentrate on, I want to make more money, I want things to be bigger, I want to be, I want everything just more. I'm really proud of all the different things Funga has already achieved, but it would be lovely to have a little bit of a bigger team. Because what I have found is that there's so many things I want to do, so I dip into all of these things, but then you can't do one thing very well. The product was the first time where I was like, this is it now. This is my 100% of my focus is going to go onto this and everything that entails. So having a bit more of a team would enable this project to grow in a very beautiful way.
What's it taught you about yourself?
Someone asked me that the other day, and they said, what's your talent? And I just thought, okay, it was quite an upfront question, and it's a difficult question. But the first thing that came into my mind, and I think that's really something that I've learned through this project, is that I'm a connector. I really am. It's easy for me to meet all different types of people and to build relationships. People that have completely different ages and experiences. And I've formed the most incredible relationships over these last 3 years. And it's something that is become increasingly more easy, but it's been, it's something that I really discovered. And it's something that I'm really grateful that I was able to harness that skill.
And you're sharing that with what you're doing now with the product. People can connect through even reading on your website, just the amazing articles there, and from having a little taste and nibble of full grooving.
But it's also a part of Funga that is not something that you might see if you look at the website or if you look on my Instagram. But a huge part, and that's where the connection thing comes in as well, because of all the different people I've met, and especially real professionals like facilitators and retreat runners, all of these different people. What really fulfills me and gives me so much motivation is when I am able to help. Often I just get random people say, I've heard about you, do you have a moment to speak? People that struggle with mental health, and to connect them to the right sort of alternative care. That gives me a lot. I love to do that, and I do that a lot.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Should we give a shout out to someone in particular who, not on the receiving end, but on the supplier side, who maybe creates these experiences for people?
Most recently, I connected someone to Justin Townsend. He's the head facilitator and CEO of Myco Meditations in Jamaica. So it's an incredible... It's a credible retreat where guests take psilocybin, guided psilocybin, with a therapist, and it's less ceremonial, it's a bit more scientific, his approach, but he is one of the most knowledgeable, kind, and lovely people, and he's been someone that I very often send people to.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
In Jamaica, wow.
Yeah.
There's going to be a few tickets being
One of the
booked there.
places where you can legally take psilocybin mushrooms.
Interesting. We're going to move now to the quickfire questions.
Ooh.
So, 3 things that bring you joy.
My routine.
Yeah.
Love a routine. Makes me very happy.
Love that.
It really does. Kanna brings me joy. It is the gift that keeps on giving. And for a year while I was formulating this project, it was just an experimentation and getting to know the plant. It was one of the happiest years of my life. And the last thing, dancing.
Dancing.
Great music and dance, a good dance.
You are a good dancer. I've seen you dance. Probably danced with you a few times. A mantra you want to embrace now would be?
Trust the process.
A favourite book, film or artist that isn't obvious?
True Romance.
Amen.
It's a film.
Amen.
It's a fantastic film. Yeah, one of my favorites. Not that it's necessarily related to what we're just speaking about, but it's the first film that popped into my head. And I guess, Roma, because Kanna is an empathogen, it's a heart opener, so initially this was going to be called Funga Chocos for loving. So maybe True Romance, that's where it ties in.
Oh, warm embracing.
Yeah.
If you could add one thing to your bucket list today, what would it be?
Oof. To go swim with whales.
I swam with once, and it's an experience hard to describe. Just their presence.
It's alien, no?
It's almost like, in a similar way to being at the top of the mountain, you do feel different. And then, just such a big animal. If anyone's stood by an elephant, you feel their presence in such a unique way.
I saw one in Mexico, a humpback, and I swear to God, I've never felt such energy from anything in my life. It was a spiritual experience.
One thing you wish you knew when you were younger?
Not to spend too much time worrying about how things will come about in the future. I think there's some sort of a divine guide or guidance, and everything will work out the way it's meant to. I think you can speed up the process or slow it down, but that ultimately, even the bad things, it will lead to something good.
One thing that's in for you right now, and one thing that's out.
Being more intentional about how to consume alcohol. That's really something that's in for me personally also.
Fantastic.
And one thing that's out for me is social media.
which we're not on right now. So.
I hate it. I was the other day, because I have now with this TM, you do a meditation first thing when you wake up and then in the afternoon. And I did my meditation and I felt amazing, but obviously it was first thing in the morning and I had to open my phone to start the day. And I too quickly opened the phone and I immediately went onto Instagram because whatever. And I really felt how my energy, my mood, like it went from here to here within 5 minutes. And I felt how toxic it actually is. Trying, because I do quite enjoy it as well, but trying to be less on the phone and less on social media is, that's a goal for sure.
No, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you. I've loved this.
If you've enjoyed this, hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Want to support the podcast, inspire as many people as possible? You can either make a donation on the Buy Me a Coffee link in our bio and website. Want to access exclusive content? Submit ideas for future episodes? Join below as a Patreon member and we will make you feel special. Thanks so much for listening.